High pop. Behind home plate, Luke Maile is there. Booking. The youngest team in Major League Baseball has captured the Central Division crown.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Humm Baby Baseball channel. This is Eric, and today we're going to be talking Cleveland Guardians. We got Jeff here, and he runs the Locked On Guardians podcast. So I'm going to put a link down below. Check that out. Check out their YouTube channel as well as the podcast, and especially if you're a Guardians fan. So I appreciate you, Jeff. How you doing?
I'm doing well. It's always fun to talk baseball, get to talk and meet new people who love baseball. It's always a good day when you get to do that, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, 100%. And just getting excited, getting ready for the new season. I know you guys are coming off a really good year. I forgot you won like 92, 93 games last year and won the division. And you went to the ALDS against the Yankees and took it to a game 5. So I just wanted to get your thoughts kind of the off season. I know you picked up. It wasn't a really big offseason. You picked up Josh Bell. Looks like you picked up Mike Zunino. I mean, what are your overall thoughts? I know there's still some time left, but what's your overall thoughts on the offseason?
Every Guardian, well, not every. There was a minority who didn't, but I think most of us were really hoping for Sean Murphy. That was always kind of the elephant for this offseason. It didn't come together. But I will say, like, all things considered, like, Zunino's a nice pivot. Austin Hedges, like I pulled up the data at one point in time, like he has literally been the worst hitter in baseball over the last 4 years. Like if you're looking at weighted runs created plus, literally the worst hitter in baseball. So whereas Zunino, the one thing he does is destroy left-handed pitching. He's really good at that, and this team has struggled with that. So he fits, fills some needs. It is an improvement, and you're just kind of hoping that he can do well enough until Bo Naylor's ready. All right. And Josh Bell's he's a professional hitter, and it's essentially a 1-year contract. If he plays really well, he can opt out and go back into free agency. But they have so many prospects right now that you're also waiting to see which one of those young guys are going to start coming up. That's the probably the biggest thing a Guardians fan is looking forward to, is seeing who's going to finally get to the big leagues. What's their role going to be? They had 17 rookies debut last year. And one could argue, outside of Bo Naylor, that none of those 17 guys were their top 5 prospects. They had a lot of guys kind of surprised to varying degrees, but they were younger than most AAA teams. They, as you mentioned, won the division, got to the second round, and they didn't lose any pieces. So they added 2 upgrades, and we're going to see what those young guys can do. The future should be bright. This should just be the beginning of a run. Hopefully, Naylor will step up in the young pitchers as well.
Yeah, I thought you all had. I mean, you didn't add a whole lot, but you didn't need to add a whole lot. I don't think the White Sox added too much. I just did the preview on the Twins yesterday, and I think little improvements, but your lineup here. Just taking a look at it, see if let me bring it up here. Yeah, so here's a potential lineup. I don't know if you agree with this, but yeah, Steven Kwan, it's kind of a rookie guy, right? He had a really good year.
Yeah.
Rosario, Ramirez, you got now you got Josh Bell in the middle there, Jimenez, Josh Naylor, Oscar Gonzalez, Mike Zunino now, and then Miles Straw. Sample lineup looks pretty similar to last year, but what are your thoughts on this lineup?
I think the big thing when you look at that lineup is like Jose Ramirez in the middle of. If you go and you look at his year, it's like look at the data before the Colorado series, where like people were debating at that point in time, like, if the MVP award was given out, does it go to Judge or Ramirez? And then he got hit in the hand and broke his thumb and was essentially league average the rest of the year going forward. Had still a really good year, but was not Jose Ramirez. So you're getting a guy back at full health, had off-season surgery on that thumb. Andres Jimenez is probably going to have some regression, but what a breakout year for him. Steven Kwan was, just no one could have hoped that he would do what he has done. Cleveland has struggled so badly to develop outfielders. Their best outfielder they have developed since the year 2000 is Luke Scott, in terms of a guy they drafted, and he never even played with them. Ryan Church is like at number 2 or number 3. It's been ugly. So Steven Kwan is already, I think, by WAR, the 4th or 5th best outfielder they've developed in the last 25 years. So it's been like the whole huge issue of them not being able to develop outfielders. And yeah, Kwan justifiably, was down the ballot on Rookie of the Year, third or fourth. And I mean, those two guys, Julio and Adley, had years for the ages, but he had such a strong year. And then, you're just kind of hoping, though, some of the other young pieces, that Zunino can be healthy and step up, and that Straw will find a happy medium. He was probably, when they got him, played above his head, and last year he played way below. And you're hoping you take the defense with the knowledge he's going to be a below average bat, but you're hoping that it won't be as bad as a year ago.
Yeah, I remember Quan in the ALDS. It seemed like he was tearing it up against the Yankees. I think he hit a home run, and I was like, "Who?" I didn't even heard him at that point. I was like, "Who the heck is this?" So, like, he came out of nowhere. But
he was one of those guys. It's kind of the funny thing if you're a Guardians fan, because you got Stephen Kwan, who had that great year. He said, I think it was third in Rookie of the Year. I could be wrong. And then you have Jose Ramirez, and you got Shane Bieber, and what they all have in common is none of them were ever top 100 prospects. So they've kind of built this team. And if you look at Emmanuel Clase, one could argue that like the top 5 hitters or the top 5 players on the Guardians roster were not top 100 prospects. So they've really done a good job in terms of developing and like sticking with guys, because like Jose and Jimenez are both players who went up and down and then seemed to figure it out. So it's like I said, it's such a fun, if you are a Guardians fan, you should be having fun with this. Like, I know people are always going to be disappointed that they don't do as much or they don't spend as much, but we're hoping they'll maybe do some extensions, that there will be some money spent as this new minority ownership comes in. But it's a good time between, like I said, the minors are just exploding at the seams, and the majors, they got to the second round.
Yeah, and I was rooting for you. I think I had predicted y'all to go farther. I don't remember, but I was rooting hard for the Guardians that series, and I think I was hoping y'all would win it all at that point. So obviously, my team, I'm a Giants fan. They were already out, but we didn't make the playoffs last year. But yeah, no, the lineup looks solid. Any bench players here? Any of these guys gonna make an impact?
You're kind of. Bo Naylor's the guy you're hoping will step up. Josh Naylor's little brother. We'll see if they draft Miles Naylor this next year and take all 3 Naylor brothers.
Well, that'd be crazy.
But Bo is a little more athletic than his brother. He's probably like kind of average across the board, but he was a 20-20 guy in the minors last year as a catcher, which you don't see very often. So good athletic traits. He's never going to be like a great catcher, but there's this hope that he can be at least an above average hitter and then like an average defender. Will Brennan is kind of like in that Quan range. He was a two-way guy at Kansas, actually. Or was it Kansas State? I think it was Kansas State. I don't want to get myself in trouble with people from Kansas. You can't confuse those two. But I'm pretty sure it was Kansas State. And he was actually announced as a two-way guy. And I wonder, like, if not for the COVID season, if he might have got a chance to do it. But he really came along last year. Ty Freeman's been in the system. And Gabby Arias was the guy who I think was the centerpiece in the Clevenger deal when that deal happened. Probably the best defensive shortstop on this roster. Probably best defensive shortstop they have anywhere in their system. And I mean, he could hit like 20 home runs in a year, just swing and miss and some contact issues.
Oh, really?
But he was the platoon partner for Josh Naylor in the postseason. Like, they went and had him after not having done that role most of the year.
Decent. Yeah, pretty good there. And then, of course, the rotations I remember that's kind of your strength here with obviously Shane Bieber, Tristan McKenzie, Cal Quantrill, Aaron Savali, Zach Plesac, all right-handers, but still it's a pretty good looking rotation.
Yeah, you have Bieber at the top, and he's always going to be a hot button topic because this is probably his last year in Cleveland. He's got 2 years left, and we're probably seeing his last year suiting up. I think he wants to head west. Has been kind of. I don't have that anywhere directly.
We'll take him.
Yeah, I mean, he could. I could see him ending up in. I could easily see him ending up in San Francisco because he's going to be a pretty decently aged free agent. Like, he moved through the minors very quickly. He went to UC Santa Barbara. He's from a Cali kid, so great dude. I got to meet him when he was in Double-A back when I'd cover it. Kind of a funny Shane Bieber story. If we got time, I can tell this.
Okay.
I wanted to interview him because that was the year he was in the minors and he walked 10 players all year. Across like 30 starts, 10 total walks.
Wow.
And in the middle of our interview, he's like, can we pause this? That was my host family. So like, not even like, sometimes players can be abrupt, or sometimes a guy can be like, I gotta go. It was just, can we pause the interview? Wanted to run and say hi and thank you to his former host. Like, just a good dude from those experiences there. But you have him and McKenzie, and then Quantrill is kind of solid. Savali gets hurt at least once every year, but like flashed. He towards the end of the year, he looked much better. Plesac's the guy who broke his got hurt taking off a shirt and then broke his fist punching the mound.
Yeah,
he's had some boneheaded moments.
Wow.
You're hoping, they've got the big three of prospects, as I call them. Daniel Espino, who, if he hadn't been hurt this past year, might be the top right-handed pitching prospect in baseball. Tanner Bybee was their big breakout guy. A Cal Fullerton pitcher, keeping it with the California theme, and Gavin Williams, who they took out of was that East Carolina or it was the Pirates. I think that's ECU. So those are the big three. You're kind of hoping that Espino has to be added to the 40-man at the end of the year. He's got MLB.com did their like breakdown of prospects, and he had the best fastball and slider in the minors, like 2 pitches.
Dang.
So it's just a matter of health with him.
Yeah,
I mean they gave him 70 grades on both those pitches. So it's a situation where he didn't pitch a ton last year, and it was like a knee issue and an arm issue. And I've been worried about injury issues from the moment they drafted him. They hadn't had any so far, but last year was rough with that. But you're hoping some of those young guys will step up. Logan Allen is he just made 2 top 100 lists. Yeah, he was a second round pick, and he had some stumbles when he got to AAA, and that's really his first struggle. I mean, his first year in the minors, he got up to AA and pitched well. So they got those. They keep finding arms. I mean, it's a Tanner Bybee is probably their big success story. He was the guy who was throwing 91, 92 at Fullerton. We interviewed him on our podcast. In 2020, he thought the Cubs were taking him, and they took Luke Little. So he goes back in 2021. He thinks the Cubs are taking him again, and they take Christian Franklin. And now in Cleveland's system, he's gone from 92 to 93 to 99. I had some reports from people connected to him that he hit 100 this offseason. So like, massive jump. Certainly a big name to know in their system is, like I said, Tanner Bybee from Fullerton is another fun prospect. But honestly, I think the strength of this team is that bullpen. That's really where they are just loaded to bear. That is, they could. I wouldn't be shocked if they ended up trading a piece from this at some point, because they have so many good players, and it's almost like there's no spots. Like if someone like Espino they want to bring up as a reliever because he, an innings limit after injuries a year ago, there's really not a guy you look at and you say, oh, that guy is easy to replace, or that guy is kind of mediocre. Like everyone's good to really good in that bullpen.
Dang, y'all pitching. Yeah, now that I'm looking at it, it's just, with all the prospects you mentioned, and it's the rotation's pretty young. Nobody here over 30. Nobody here. You got a young bullpen.
They were younger than every AAA team last year.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's how young the Guardians were. They were not just the youngest team in Major League Baseball. They were younger than which kind of makes sense because AAA squads, you inevitably get a few guys in their late 30s still hanging on, but still, it's a fun little factoid.
That's still crazy. No one over 28 here. I mean, that's insane.
In Class A should be in any discussion for the best reliever in baseball. Just stay like he throws 100-mile-an-hour cutter, and everyone knows it's coming. And he's had an ERA under 1.5 the last 2 years. If you haven't had a chance, he's just a fun it's like an alien. Like if he wasn't in Cleveland, he'd be more well known. Cleveland does still sometimes not get the attention it deserves, but Class A has a legitimate case for best reliever on the planet. Trevor Stephan is already. So I'm a history nerd in general. So Cleveland has lost a lot of great players in the Rule 5 draft. Hector Rondon, Anthony Santander with Baltimore, some recent names. Their most successful pitcher was, I'm going to get it wrong now, Tom Wendell, who was actually Scottish, who pitched like 4 years in the bit. Cleveland has not found anyone ever in the Rule 5 draft. And I say this because Trevor Stephan, who's up there on the screen, was awesome last year. They liked him out of Arkansas. I could say that because I knew his agent at the time. And he ended up going to the third round to the Yankees. And Cleveland picked him up, and he is already probably the greatest Rule 5 selection in Cleveland Guardians history. And one can make a case that with Karen Chalk, the Karen Chalk would close for maybe 80% of teams in baseball.
That's what I was just thinking. Yeah, just
and then you got Stephan, who is just maybe a step behind or on par. Like a lot of Guardians fans would say that Stephan was stronger than Karen Chalk last year. And then Sam Henches had the lowest ERA of the entire pitching staff in the second half. He was a starter, had some health injuries, like a 6'7", 6'8" lefty who got moved from Double-A to the majors in 2021 because of their pitching staff was just beat up and didn't work as a starter. And I was actually someone I can eat crow and say this. I was like, oh, maybe they should take him off the 40-man. They're like, no, we're going to convert him to a reliever. And he was, like I said, had a lower ERA than Karen Chalk, Clase, or Stefan in the second half. Was a multi-inning reliever at points for them in the postseason. So it's like they have that really big four. And then De Los Santos was a minor league free agent who ended up being really successful. Eli Morgan was he's like 5'7", 5'8". I remember. Right. Yeah, he's like he went to Gonzaga. Really undersized guy. It's always like my bragging point that I literally, because I used to cover the draft at Scout in 24/7. Scout got bought by 24/7, and 24/7 got rid of baseball. But that was like the Major League Baseball draft was my big thing for a lot of years there. And I literally tweeted like, hey, isn't this the round where the Guardians draft Eli Morgan? And then they did. And they did. It was just, I knew he was their type. And I had talked about for months that they're going to probably target this kid. And he was one of those guys with the BAPIP where like he was probably too lucky in the first half, too unlucky in the second half, but just another solid pen arm. And then Cody Morris, if he hadn't been hurt, might already be in the rotation. He had like I think his K per 9 when he finally got called up when he was healthy was over 13 in the big leagues. He's been really good. Health is the issue. It's like he's supposed to be a starter, but if health doesn't hold up, he might just be another bullpen weapon, which is why, again, that there might be a thing where if they can pull a 3-team deal at some point or do something to help them fill another need, they might consider moving like Karen Chalk, particularly because he has the least amount of team control. If they're going to move anyone, he's the only one who's not arbitration still, except for Clase, who they signed to the mother of all great contracts. He's got 6 more years on his contract. The 2 option years are at $7 million and $9 million. So yeah, they got him locked up at the right time. So I think as a Guardians fan, that pen is what excites me the most because there's not a weak link. They got a kid who they added the 40-man, who we also interviewed, Tim Herron, who's a lefty, was a high school quarterback in Indiana, who's throwing 97, 98, 99, who's not even listed here, but could make this team. So that's kind of the fun part with this bullpen.
Yeah, here's the prospects list. Tim Herron down here. This is Fangraphs. Dang, I didn't realize how much depth you guys got. I mean, any others?
And the guy right ahead of him there, Joey Cantillo, I thought he was the number 2 piece in the Clevenger deal. He has had health issues the last 2 years, but through the end of June, he had the lowest hard hit percentage of any pitcher in Double or Triple-A. He was looking that good. I believe it's the slider was always a plus flashing pitch. And a hard time saying those words, but yeah, he's got some really good stuff. It's just, again, it's some health concerns, which has come up multiple times, but he's like the sleeper to rise up high in the system that, like, I debated him on my own personal list as like a top 10 prospect. I ended up moving him down, but he's still like in the high teens for me. But yeah, they're just, as a Guardians fan, we did a recent thing on our podcast. We talked about the pitching staff at every level, and it's like they have legit pitching prospects who need to get reps that they go 7-8 deep at every level of the minors. Like there's no filler. It's all legitimate players. They don't have the retreads at any point, and that's what's kind of crazy. They've done such a good job at knowing what to do and what to develop. And I mean, that also happens when, like, in 2021 you have 21 draft picks and 19 of them are pitchers. You're going to have a lot of pitchers in your system. But
hey, that's what wins. That's what they say, right? Pitching wins. But obviously didn't get you all the way last year, but a lot of these guys, like you said, are real young, so they got another year under their belt. And wow, I'm really impressed just looking at this team and this bullpen and rotation. Like I said earlier, I just did the Twins preview. We were talking about, could the Guardians repeat 92? We're thinking maybe not, but I'm thinking you might win more than 92. I mean, what are your thoughts on the division coming in with, the Twins and the White Sox? I mean, the Twins, White Sox, Royals, Tigers getting a little bit better, but I mean, do you think you guys are in a good position to repeat?
I really liked the Tigers a year ago, so that's and that's one of those things I kind of look back on. And it's like it's been rough for the Tigers and the Royals. They're both kind of, I think we're projecting both those teams to be under 70 wins again. Yeah. So it's those three teams at the top, and the Twins got better. Like I talked about Dylan Bundy led the Twins in starts last year, and he's not with the team. Chris Archer was third in starts, and sixth was Devin Smeltzer, who just signed a minor league contract with the Marlins. I want to say, like, even though the Twins didn't necessarily add an ace, like their pitching is significantly improved. They really did a good job shoring that up. But the White Sox, I'd argue, almost are like weaker than a year ago. Clevenger, whatever that's going to be, just put to the side. Liam Hendricks, I know, he's one of the best players in the White Sox. I'm just wishing him well. Like that's all you care about is that he beats cancer. But from the perspective of what that does to that team, that's a huge loss. And then Abreu is a huge loss as well. Benintendi is a big improvement, but I feel like one can make a case that White Sox team is a little bit weaker right now.
Yeah,
and
they had
the Twins
a disappointing
are good
season anyway last year.
And Cleveland only improved. Like one could say, the Twins were very hurt last year and they had very bad pitching, so they'll get back some wins. But Cleveland did really well against the Twins all year, and I think they're a better team than they were last year, and they're just gonna, even if they have some injuries, and it's not to say, like I said, they lost Plesac and Zavali at the same time and had to make do, lost 2/5 of the rotation. They had a few other players have little bits here and there. I mean, Franmil Reyes was supposed to be their second best hitter a year ago, and I don't even think he signed a minor league contract with anyone yet. So, they had a few issues. Every team does, but they are, I would say, better today than they were a year ago. Now, next offseason, that's not going to be the case because, again, I do think Bieber is probably traded at the end of this year. But the one nice thing, again, is the depth of prospects. You're hoping some of those guys can step up. And, he's really the only one in the next 2 to 3 years that is on track to be a free agent. Like this core is in place outside of Shane Bieber for, I believe, at least the next 3 years.
Wow. Yeah, man, I'm loving your team as I'm looking at it here. I'm looking forward to doing predictions. I'm going to have you guys going deep. I don't know how deep, but pitching is huge. I know as a Giants fan, we won those 3 World Series. It wasn't because of just, decent lineup, but it was because of, Tim Lincecum and Matt Cain and all these really, and Madison Bumgarner. Pitching is what does it, and a good bullpen. So
the funny thing with that is, just as a random, again, me being a history nerd, the Guardians drafted Tim Lincecum the year before the Giants did and really made a push to sign him, but decided they didn't want to give him 7 figures. Like he was taken in like the 30th round. And it's one of the big misses of my lifetime that they were very close to they did draft him and they had some discussions, but couldn't get across the finish line. It was him. And then, wasn't Brian Meadows? No, not Meadows. Was that the closer? Was there Brian
Wilson?
Yeah, another Guardians draft pick that they couldn't get signed out of high school that went to the Giants. There was a time where I was just sitting there watching the Giants being like, and he got away, and he got away.
Dang, that would have changed everything if y'all would have got Tim Lincecum. Who knows?
It was kind of a weird random fact. But that's the thing. I mean, it's like, it felt like Bumgarner and Posey just like carried the rest of the team, and it's
we did have Posey,
and you're hoping that something like that can step up, as the Guardians do have the longest World Series drought in baseball now that the Cubs, the White Sox, and the White Sox, Red Sox, and Cubs have all won. So now it is squarely Cleveland with that since 48.
No, exactly. Yeah, you guys got to get it done. And I'm looking for your oldest guy. I think it's Mike Zunino, 31. That's your oldest on the main.
Sounds about right. Last year would have been Brian Shaw, but they ended up releasing him at the very end of the season. I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up being a camp invitee. He's Tito's cribbage partner, I believe. Maybe he comes back as a coach this year. But it's Zunino's a 1-year deal, Bell's a 1-year deal essentially, and they're just hoping that they're gonna turn those over to young players at the end of the year and just kind of keep going that way.
Prime. This is Bell is in his 30. That's nothing. Jose Ramirez could have a big season. You never know. I like this team overall. I think you guys are probably on paper anyway, it looks like the best team in the Central, in my opinion, so far. I haven't done the White Sox preview yet, but like you said, they haven't gotten much better. If they have gotten, it may have gotten worse. So, yeah, that sounds pretty good. And I hope you guys have a fun season. I'm looking forward to it, and appreciate you coming on here.
Oh no, thanks for having me. It was great. I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to come on and chat about baseball in general, and brag a little bit about a Guardians team that I think they're easy to like. You know, it's not a team that has a lot of natural rivalries, and there's not a lot of negative personalities or things like that. So it makes them a fun team to follow. And I'll just advise anyone, if you need a bandwagon team, or if you get late in the season and you need a bandwagon team, it's always open for more people to join us and enjoy a really fun Cleveland Guardians team.
Yeah, for sure. I jumped on your all bandwagon last year because I was like, man, this is a team that needs to. I feel bad for the fans, especially the older fans. They're fans in their 80s, 90s who've never seen them win a World Series.
Yeah, my dad. Let's see. I'm 41, so my dad turned 70 this year. So
so I'm assuming he was not born yet, right? 1940 something. What was it?
I have to do them. I mean, let's see. So my mom was born in because my mom's older than my dad. My mom was born in 51. So yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
I'm not the quickest math, but I can tell. I don't think he was born yet. And
he was not born yet.
Yeah, and it is a lot of these fans. If they were born, they were like 2 years old. So I don't think anyone's alive from that team. I think last guy passed away. I forgot his name. He was a pretty good player. He was like 100 years old.
Third baseman, right? I think it was like third baseman because he was at the. He came to one of the World Series games against the Cubs, I want to say.
Yeah. Robinson. So I think it's Robinson. I want to say. Now I got to look it up.
I can't remember. I was thinking Eddie something, but no.
Yeah. Eddie Robinson.
Yeah. Okay.
Eddie Robinson. Yeah. So that's sad, but there's still some fans out there that have been waiting forever. So y'all need to get it done. Let's go. So
that's the hope.
Yeah. I look at this is your chance right here. This team I just looked at. Obviously it's not so easy to win a World Series. You got to go through. That's when you got to go through all the other teams outside of your division, like the Yankees. Yankees last year got you, and eventually got to play Dodgers or something in the World Series. But I love this roster, so I think you all can do it.
No, it's certainly easier.
If it's not the Giants, I'll be rooting for you.
When they're facing teams like the Astros and the Yankees in the postseason, I think it makes it easier for a lot of teams of fan bases to that's a team that's a lot easier to pull for in those situations. There's not as much. We never steal your talent. That's it's never Cleveland who you're like, oh, Cleveland spent all that money and took that guy away from us. That's never the case.
No, you got a lot of homegrown. I see that whole bullpen almost is not almost is Cleveland drafted by Cleveland, and rotations almost all except Cal Quantrill. So you got a lot of homegrown talent. And, it's a really good looking team. So. Make sure everyone to go check out Locked On Guardians, though. Go subscribe now. I'll put a link here up at the top and in the description below. I'll put some links throughout the video also to go check out some of your stuff there. So appreciate it. And y'all have a great day. Hit the thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and we'll talk to y'all next time.